Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. Have a question for the show or need assistance with your retirement plan? Give Philip a call today. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815.
Late baby boomers born between 1960 and 1965, they face a looming retirement crisis, according to the latest reports. So you'll want to stay tuned today as Philip Statler breaks down more of the risks on the horizon that could impact your confidence in retirement. We are so glad you're here with us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring. And Philip, looking forward to this topic today. Before we dive in, I hope you're doing great today.
Hey, doing well today. Jen, I don't know. I mean, I know that you probably don't keep up with the Sebring news, right? I mean, being out there in Topeka, Kansas and stuff. But here's the deal. We are a very special town right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have HGTV, Ben and Aaron are here working downtown in Sebring on revitalizing some of our properties.
That's pretty exciting.
It's pretty cool.
That's very
pretty
exciting.
Cool. We're excited about it. But that's the big news around here anyway.
Yeah, and that's where you get a little, you get the behind the scenes, the real inside scoop for how these shows really work. And I think that kind of lets out some of the secrets when they show up. You find out a little bit more about what really happens.
What really goes on, right?
What really goes on. That's exactly right. Always fun to get that kind of behind the scenes look at things, right?
It is.
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, I kind of teased this a little bit, Philip, at the start of the show. Baby boomers, late baby boomers, you can call them the younger baby boomers. They're the ones born between 1960 and 1965. And I want to tell you how we're going to be referring to these baby boomers here really quickly. I got a quick audio clip that gives you a little bit of a clue. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles had it.
So you might be wondering, what does Ed Sullivan introducing the Beatles to a live studio audience in the U.S. for the first time have to do with retirees? Well, Beatlemania hit the U.S. in early 1964. That audio clip was almost exactly 60 years ago is when that happened. And here we are almost exactly 60 years later to talk about the challenges facing who we are calling the Beatlemania boomers.
Man. Yeah, it's cool that we're talking about kind of those late baby boomers because that's kind of the end, right?
Right.
That's the end of the baby boomers, and I kind of fit in that little category there, so it's kind of neat. And the USA Today, they call them the Beatlemania boomers, and they've got some different situations and some different circumstances that they're battling that the rest of the baby boomers really didn't have to go through.
Yeah.
So they got some unique challenges, and that's what we're going to talk about today is some of those economic challenges and what caused them, and what the economy was doing back during their peak earning years, because that's where the problem all started.
Yeah. It's really all about timing. We're talking about folks. They just happened to be born during this Beatlemania time, right as the Beatles were showing up. So it's just kind of a fun tie-in here. It's not really super relevant to their financial choices later on, but there is some timing involved here. These people were born in the early 60s, these Beatlemania boomers. They were in their mid to late 40s in 2008 when we were going through that financial crisis at that time. So let's talk about, how is that fact still impacting their finances today? Purely timing, just where they happen to be career-wise when these things were happening with our economy. But how is that still impacting people today?
Well, so here's the deal. If you think back to that time period, right? We're talking about 2000 into 2007 to really the beginning of 2009. You think of that time period, that economic crisis that we were in. Many of those folks in that middle management, they were in the peak of their careers. They lost their jobs. Those that didn't lose their jobs, Jen, they had to go through pay cuts. They had to be willing to take a pay cut just to keep a job. And so with all that happening, they weren't able to save as much money in their retirement accounts. A matter of fact, some of them had to actually go rob their 401ks to stay afloat during that time period. So it really put them behind the ball. And then the other thing you have to remember is that people's 401k and retirement accounts, they dropped substantially during that recessionary time period that we saw. 30, 40% wasn't unusual. And it took a while for those things to recover. And so, and some people really never fully recover from that financial setback that happened.
Yeah.
And Jen, that really rolls around to why it's important to have a plan in place, because you need to take all these things into consideration, because you have to plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? And so when I developed the core retirement design, I put those pieces in place that allowed us to diversify not just the risk bucket, but to make sure that we're diversified between risk and safety. And so that's important when we start looking at the highs we're hitting right now as well. So, folks, core retirement design, it will help you make sure that you're on the right path to the retirement you always dreamed of. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815 to get your core retirement analysis started. That's 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring, and he is very much a Beatlemania boomer that we're talking about today. And, as we talk about these challenges for these younger baby boomers, people born at the tail end of the baby boom generation, and my parents fall into this as well, how do you help them figure out if they've saved enough for retirement? And again, when you talk about some of these challenges that they've gone through, taking a hit during their earning and savings years, this is a big concern for a lot of people. So how do you talk to people about this?
Well, it's all part of the planning process, right? So you have to know where we need to get to. It's not about what you saved. It's more about what are you going to be spending in retirement. That's the number you got to calculate. How much do we need to produce income? What kind of income do we need to produce? When you take into consideration your Social Security that you're going to get, your pension that maybe you get, what's the shortfall? And it's that shortfall that we have to plan for, and we have to fill that gap, that income gap. And that's, again, what our core retirement design help folk do, is to put together that income plan that makes them really have that certainty about knowing that they can retire. Man, I was having a meeting last week with a client that, they were just uncertain, about how much income they were going to have in retirement. And we built out the income plan and said, look, here's where you are. You're going to be fine in retirement. Even if you don't pull money out of your accounts, just your Social Security and your pension, you're going to be good. That certainty helps people, Jen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when you talk about things like certainty versus uncertainty, a big concern for a lot of people is you think about those of us who, everyone lived through 2008 and everybody knows what that felt like to see some of those losses and have some of those concerns about the economy. If something like that were to happen again, talk about something that people are concerned about and feel uncertain about. What are some strategies to consider to help preserve our savings if we're worried about that, another worst case scenario in the markets?
Well, and I think we have to be concerned about that given what we're seeing in today's marketplace. And so the first thing I look at folks and say, look, we need to make sure that you've got the right diversification between how much should be in your risk bucket versus how much should be in your principal preservation bucket. And that really boils down to how close are you to retirement. The closer you are to retirement, the more we need to be in that principal protection mode, because we can't afford to have another 2008 come and kind of clean us out before we get ready to retire. And so it is really making sure that we're using that right diversification and then using the right tools we have for that diversification. And that really is the core retirement design, where we look at the risk component of everybody's portfolio to make sure it lines up with the amount of risk they should have in their portfolio, Jen. The closer you get to retirement, the more safe or less risky their portfolio needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just talk a little bit about your process for helping create a comprehensive retirement plan and exploring things like how much risk do we have with our retirement savings. Talk a little bit about what this looks like.
So for us, it's really and truly a 3-step process. One is we want to know where you are right now. And you should know where you are right now, right? In terms of risk, how much risk is in your current portfolio? And then how does that measure up with how much risk you should have in your portfolio based on your age, based on your risk tolerance, and how close you are to retirement? Those are important parts of that. The second thing we look at is taxes in retirement. You know, everybody thinks that taxes kind of go away when they retire. And unfortunately, that's not the case. You know, a lot of people end up paying more taxes in retirement than they anticipated because they didn't have the right strategies in place. That's another area we focus on to make sure that we're doing all we can that folks pay the least amount of taxes in retirement. And then lastly, the third prong of our core retirement design is to design that retirement income plan so they know where the income's coming from month in and month out, and they can sleep better at night because they understand what that looks like for them.
So as we talk a little bit about this, let's just talk about how we can get started, Philip. If we are saying, okay, I have some assets for retirement, I have some things in place, but I don't really think I have this comprehensive plan. I don't really think I have that certainty with my finances that a plan can bring. Let's talk about how we get started.
It starts with a 30-minute phone call. You know, where folks can sit there and ask questions to make sure that they're on the path they need to be on in order to get to where they want to be in retirement. It's that simple. It's a 30-minute phone call. And there's no cost, no obligation. If we get through that 30 minutes, you say, hey, Philip, thanks. I think I'm good. You know, that's all well and good. You know, the process is I want to make sure that people that are listening to the radio show are on the right path for the retirement they always dreamed of. If I can help, great. If not, hey, I'll let you know you're on the right path. Just keep doing what you're doing. To get started, it takes one phone call, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Give us a call and let's get started on your core retirement design.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring, and we've got a lot more insights from Philip coming up next. Stay with us.
Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Do you actually read your financial statements, or do they get tossed in a drawer and forgotten about? You could be making an expensive mistake by not taking the time to look at them. If you're paying high fees in your retirement portfolio, it could be costing you tens of thousands of dollars or more over your lifetime. Imagine the difference an extra $100,000 could make in your retirement. Statler Financial Services can help you uncover any hidden fees in your retirement accounts. Call today to schedule a time to talk about your situation. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. When you're close to retirement, every dollar matters. Would you like to know where your money is going? Find out what kind of fees you're really paying. Statler Financial Services can help. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815. Advisory services are offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
Time to retire right. This is the Statler Financial Radio Show.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring. I am Jen Rezac alongside who is most likely to be comfortable and confident with their retirement? Well, there are a few things that you can do to help secure your financial future. Philip's going to help us break this all down. Here's where this information comes from today, Philip. The Employee Benefit Research Institute did a study, and they found that retirees who say they feel comfortable in retirement have all done the same 4 things. So over the next few minutes of the show today, we want to share these 4 keys with our listeners. And the first one is going into retirement with little or no debt. Tell me your thoughts on that one.
Well, you would think that that's a no-brainer, right? I mean,
Sure.
Having no debt is a huge deal because every dollar that you owe somebody is a dollar that you can't use to create income in retirement.
Yeah.
And so that really becomes a big deal. And where I see folks have the most issue when it comes to retirement is kind of twofold.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, they retire too early and they
Okay.
retire with too much debt. Both of those scenarios typically don't end up as well as we would like them to and cause a heck of a lot more stress in retirement.
And again, Philip, we just have to recognize how everything changes with our financial situation as we get into retirement. You've got to be very strategic with what's going on here rather than having to spend down your retirement savings to pay off credit card bills or whatever, because then you're not getting to do the things that you wanted to do. So just one of the things we want to think about. I imagine, Philip, it's also important that we avoid racking up new debt in retirement as well. We don't want to be in this situation where we paid it all off. Now we're in retirement and we have new debt. Talk a little bit about heading that off and maybe working on a spending plan for your retirement expenses.
Well, you're right. You don't want to pay off debt and then all of a sudden start racking up more debt and not have a way to pay it off once you've retired because, hey, the income changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to make sure we've got some realistic budget to make sure that we can live within our means when it comes time for that retirement because your income's fixed. It's not like we can go work a couple extra hours or do this or do that to create more income. And so, one, we want to work to pay off our debt before we go into retirement. 2, we don't want to create more debt once we are in retirement. We don't want to have any more debt. And the worst case scenario is we have people that go into retirement with debt and they keep adding to it. So be precise, make sure that you have those things paid off going into retirement. And so, Jen, that really plays into the reason that I believe so strongly in making sure that folks have a written retirement income plan, because that income plan really gives us the idea of here's how much income we can expect on a very conservative basis to know, hey, look, this is what we got to budget to. If we're not there yet, maybe we need to work another year or so to make that happen. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. If you do not have a written retirement income plan and you are 5 years out from retirement or you are already retired, it's not too late to get that written retirement income plan in place. That number is 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring. That number again, 863-285-3815. Talking today about the keys to a comfortable retirement. The Employee Benefit Research Institute had this study, and they talked to retirees who said they feel comfortable in retirement, and the same 4 things kept coming up over and over again. So that's why we're sharing this here with you today. So the first one, as we were just talking about, going into retirement with little or no debt, really having a good handle on that debt situation. The second key to a comfortable retirement, Philip, I want you to talk about this one, is having a clear spend down strategy. Tell me what that means to have a spend down strategy.
So for us, it means having well, kind of back to what I said earlier, having a written retirement income plan that really shows, okay, how am I going to use my money? Where is it going to come from? Because that's the key to that income plan is one, when's it going to start? And where am I going to take my money from? So often, Jen, I see people that have a lot of stuff, right? They have a lot of accounts or a lot of products, annuities. They have a brokerage account, an IRA, a Roth. They have a lot of things, but they don't have a plan of how those things are all going to work together. What is the strategy for using it all? And so that's what the written retirement income plan really does. It puts together a strategy that says, okay, look, for the next 5, 7 years, whatever that is in the plan, this is where my money is going to come from. And it's going to last that 5 years or 7 years, whatever it's built for. And then that bucket's gone. We've spent that bucket down, and now we go to bucket number 2. And that bucket's going to last us another 7, 10 years. That bucket's gone. We're going to go to the next bucket. So it's creating that system of where our money's coming from and making sure that, hey, look, I mean, I build my plans out to age 100. If I'm still alive at age 100, I still have money in my accounts. Yes, I live longer, right? I mean, that's the key, Jen, is having that money left at age 100.
Right. Because the whole thing is, Philip, a lot of us, we might not live to 100, but we could live into our 90s. Or what if we do end up living just longer than we thought we would? We don't want to be spending at a rate that's too quick early in our retirement, so then we potentially run out later. Talk a little bit more about the transition that happens, Philip, when we go from this idea of saving for retirement, which is what we're doing during our working years. We're always making sure that there's money going into that 401k or that IRA. Talk a little bit about this transition when we go from saving for retirement then to figuring out how to manage our savings and how to spend it down responsibly in retirement.
Well, Jen, when you're working, then we've got a budgeted amount that's going to our retirement account. So we're putting money away every paycheck into our 401k. And that, because we're still working, the ups and downs of the market don't really, they bother us, but we know we're not depending upon that money right now to provide us any income. So the ups and downs, we can weather those. Obviously, the closer we get to retirement, the less volatility we want in that account and the more safety we should be implementing within our 401ks. So that we don't get a situation like happened in 2008, 2009, right? That people couldn't retire because their 401ks had been cut in half. And so we don't want that to happen. But here's the difference. When you flip the switch and you now are retired, we have no more income coming in from our job. We're not adding to that anymore. So we have to change our total mindset. Right. To a whole different way of thinking. And that's the big deal, because in the world we live in, most folks out there who deal with advisors or brokers, it's all growth. So when you stop working, you need to change. You need to work with somebody that actually works in that element of income planning, retirement planning, making sure that what you have is going to last throughout your lifetime. It's a different mindset. It's a whole different strategy when it comes to putting together those portfolios, Jen.
Right. What do people overlook when it comes to this transition or this whole different mindset? What do people overlook when it comes to how they're making this transition and starting to spend down their savings?
Well, there's a couple things that I think people kind of overlook. One of the biggest ones that I see overlooked is taxes. People think that I retired, and so taxes aren't going to be an issue. Well, taxes can be a huge issue, especially most people, they have their IRA or their 401k. Well, that's when you take money out of that, that's taxable income. And that taxable income adds to your income, adds to the amount of your Social Security that ends up being taxable. It creates and can create a pretty big tax nightmare for folks that they didn't really realize was gonna happen to them. And the other thing I think people really need to understand is that, hey, when you flip that switch and you're retired, that bucket of money, isn't going to continue to grow by leaps and bounds. We want it just to gradually go up as we're taking money out of it. I think those are probably the two main areas that we see people really grapple with when it comes to retirement.
Philip, let's talk a little bit about the process here for helping people address some of the concerns that they have, help them avoid mistakes and oversights as they're putting together their strategy for retirement. Talk a little bit about what it is, the process that you walk people through as you're helping them put together that retirement income strategy.
Absolutely. So we start with our core retirement design, where we want to look to see, one, how much more volatility is going to be in your portfolio. And we do that by assessing a risk value of your current portfolio and compare that to your risk number. How compatible are those two? Second, we want to look at how can we get you into a tax-free living style, right? What can we do? Are there things we can do? Can we put a plan together to start converting your IRAs to Roths now and get you into a situation down the road where maybe we don't have to pay any more taxes the rest of our life? And then third, we want to make sure that we've got a written retirement income plan that doesn't use pie in the sky numbers, that uses down to earth, really conservative growth projections to make sure that the money we have is going to last us the rest of our life. That's the key in retirement. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815 to schedule your core retirement analysis. You can also go to our website at statlerfinancial.com. There's a link to our schedule there where you can schedule a 30-minute, no obligation phone consultation. That number again, 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler, talking today about a study from the Employee Benefit Research Institute that found that retirees who consider themselves to be comfortable in retirement have done the same 4 things. We'll continue breaking down the 4 keys to a comfortable retirement in just a moment. Stay with us. This is, again, the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for information about tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why Statler Financial Services was started. Philip wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement. Statler Financial is more than just convenient, they're knowledgeable and experienced. To set up a meeting with Philip Statler and his team to talk about your retirement plan, all of it, call 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Statler Financial Services, one stop for a wealth of retirement solutions. 863-285-3815. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
I want to help you understand some things. Number one, timing of your RMD, because they could potentially push you into a higher tax bracket. Imagine how fast your savings could shrink if you rack up penalties along with taking regular withdrawals and paying taxes.
Welcome back to the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler and co-host Jen Rezac.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring. I am Jen Rezac alongside, talking today about this study from the Employee Benefit Research Institute. It found that retirees who consider themselves to be, quote, comfortable in retirement have done the same 4 things. So for those who missed it, Philip, let's talk about the first 2 keys to a comfortable retirement. We just talked about these at length in the previous segment, but let's recap those real quickly for those who are just joining us.
Absolutely, Jen. So the first one is that we want to go into retirement with little or no debt. And obviously no debt is better. And once we get there, we don't want to accumulate any debt. All that debt adds is some complexity to our retirement plan. And it also adds a lot of stress in retirement as well. So that's the first thing that we talked about. And the second thing is we want a clear plan, spend down strategy. How are we going to spend down our accounts that we have now and make sure that they're going to last as long as we need them to, because nobody's promised tomorrow. We don't know how long we're going to live. Mm-hmm. So we have to plan as if we're going to live longer. I mean, I look at age 100, right? Because that seems to be an age that not many people make it past that, but we see some. So we want to make sure there's still some money left at age 100 in case you're that person that makes it to 102 or 105, right? So that's kind of what we look at.
All right, just a couple of good things to keep in mind there. So, Philip, let's move on. The next key is having some sort of employer-provided assistance, which sounds pretty good when we can get something from our company, right?
Absolutely. So that would be a pension, right? We're pretty much talking about a pension here. And so, however, pensions are, they're going away.
Not very many people have them anymore, right?
That's right. Government employees maybe still have them, but the private sector is getting to be less and less. Now, don't get me wrong, they are contributing, right? If you have a 401k, your employer is contributing to that 401k, so they're putting some money away for you on your behalf. But you got to be putting some money in too, and ultimately, when we get ready to retire, we're going to have what's in that account. That's what we're going to have. To me, that can be scary for folks.
Yeah.
That, they pull the trigger and they're getting ready to retire and say, this is what I got. It's got to last me the rest of my life. And so, I think that's where we're going to see employer money. Hopefully you get a pension. You're going to get some Social Security, those things, but you've got to make up for some of it yourself, Jen.
Right. And so, again, for people who aren't lucky enough to have that private company pension, let's talk a little bit about how they can work to achieve a comfortable retirement, because they're missing a private company pension that so few people have.
Absolutely right. And that really leads us to the final key to kind of a comfortable retirement. That's having some sort of guaranteed income. So security, right? That's pretty much everybody's going to have Social Security, and that's a guaranteed source of income that most of us are going to have. It's not a pension, but it's a guaranteed income stream, right? And so if you have a pension, then that's good. But for most of us, we're going to have to create our own pension, right? We're going to have something there for ourselves. We're going to be responsible to create that for ourselves. And so we kind of have to do that. And that's really where the income planning process comes into play. And that's why we need a wide variety of different vehicles in place to do that. Now, I know a lot of folks think of annuities. I mean, that's really what a pension is. A pension is an annuity that your employer bought for you and is paying you out the rest of your life. And so we need to use the same thing when we're trying to develop a guaranteed retirement source for you. And we do that through using some annuities, using some tactical portfolios. It's a mixture of everything. And so, a lot of times people look at annuities in a negative context, but like any vehicle out there, it has pros and it has cons. And so when we look at that annuity, yes, we've got to hold it for a certain period of time before we can access it, right? And so if we access it early, there's what they call surrender charges. We get penalized for taking money out early. The other part, though, is that we get some safety built into that index annuity, right? It's safe. It's not going to go down in value if the market goes down. And so that's an area that we have to look to when it comes to those annuities. We need everything. We need all the tools in the toolbox to accomplish kind of this one thing, and that's creating the income that we're going to need throughout the rest of our lives. And again, it starts with our core retirement design. Give us a call at 863-285-3815 to schedule your core retirement analysis. 30-minute, no obligation phone consultation. We'll answer your questions. We'll make sure you're on the right path to that retirement you dreamed of. Again, that number is 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. We've been talking today about the keys to a comfortable retirement. And Philip, as we talk about some of these different options for our income, one thing that wasn't really on here, but I still want to ask you about is Social Security. I know that wasn't really one of the income options that we talked about, but that is going to be something that is a factor for a lot of people. How do we make sure we're making the right decision with our Social Security as we are trying to work toward this goal of a comfortable retirement?
It's a good question, Jen, because Social Security is for most people their biggest source of income in retirement. And so by making a wrong decision here, they can substantially reduce the amount of income they're going to get over the rest of their retired lives. And so what we do is we run different scenarios and look at it. And as a matter of fact, I had one a couple of weeks ago. We were running. They wanted to know what happened at 62, 65, and 67. They didn't want to work past 67, but they wanted to know, okay, look, if I look at those different time periods of starting to take Social Security, and in his case, and it's different for everybody, so everybody's case is going to be different. But in his case, he actually could take the same amount of money starting at age 62, but delay his Social Security till 67 and actually end up with more money at age 100 in his account than if he started at 62.
Wow.
Now, it doesn't work that way, obviously, for everybody, but that's why it's so important that you look at the whole picture. When really is the best time to take your Social Security? And just because you want to quit working at 62 doesn't mean you need to start taking your Social Security at 62. Granted, you need income. That's why you need that income plan in place to figure out where's the best place to take it from. Maybe it is Social Security. But a lot of times it isn't. It's delaying that Social Security till 65 or 67.
So aside from making decisions like this with Social Security and our sources of income and having that income strategy, what else do we need to think about as we are heading into retirement?
Well, I think that one of the big things that I think we need to think about now as going into retirement is taxes. I just really believe that our tax rate system, our system, and the deficits that we run and the amount of debt we have accumulated all point to the fact that we are going to have to raise taxes. None of us like it. We don't want to have to pay it. But in order for this country to continue on, I don't see any other way. And so taxes are going to have to go up. So that's one that I think that they need to be aware of. They need to plan for and do everything they can to pay tax now and not later. Second is going to be healthcare. Healthcare continues to go up by over 8% a year. I saw some statistic the other day that really did give me some reason to reflect because it had gone up so much in the last 10 years. But healthcare, long-term care is different than healthcare, right? Long-term care is assisted living, nursing home, that type of thing. That's something we need to have a plan in place for. Not that you have to have insurance, but you need to have a plan in place. How am I going to deal with it if I end up in assisted living? How am I going to deal with it if I end up in a nursing home? What's my plan of action to get through that? And I think the other thing that folks need to realize and need to really think about, and I think it really came to light the last year and a half, and that's inflation. We rock and roll for a lot of years with really, really, really low inflation. I mean, I'm talking about 0.5% to 1.5%, less than 2% for a lot of years in the last 20 years. And so now we're seeing inflation raise its ugly head, and we need to be prepared for what if that continues? What are we going to do? What's our plan to make sure we can get through that and not cut into our spending plan? So I think those are some things that folks need to prepare for as they head into retirement.
So, Philip, let's talk a little bit about how having a comprehensive strategy, how that can address all these different concerns, because there's so many different financial concerns, and a comprehensive strategy can help address all these concerns and help us feel more confident about our financial future.
Well, Jen, I think that that's where when you're working with a fiduciary that has that responsibility to the client to make sure that all these areas are addressed. How often I hear, well, I'm a financial advisor, I can't really give you any tax advice. And well, it doesn't mean you can't help plan for those things, right? We need to be planning for those type of things. And that's really what our core retirement design does. It walks you through the risk, the taxes, and the income plan. Folks, listen, if you are already retired, it's not too late. And if you're 5 years out from retirement, you are perfectly set to start that planning process now so that you're ready to pull that trigger in 5 years or maybe earlier if circumstances change. Folks, give us a call, 863-285-3815. Schedule your 30-minute, no obligation phone consultation where we'll walk you through our process. We'll listen to you. We'll answer your questions. We'll make sure that what you have lined up is going to get you to where you want to be. Give us a call, 863-285-3815. That's where the core retirement design starts, is with that phone call, 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show with Philip Statler. We'll be back.
Do you have a retirement plan but would like a second opinion? Call Philip Statler today, 863-285-3815. Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. Do you actually read your financial statements, or do they get tossed in a drawer and forgotten about? You could be making an expensive mistake by not taking the time to look at them. If you're paying high fees in your retirement portfolio, it could be costing you tens of thousands of dollars or more over your lifetime. Imagine the difference an extra $100,000 could make in your retirement. Statler Financial Services can help you uncover any hidden fees in your retirement accounts. Call today to schedule a time to talk about your situation. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. When you're close to retirement, every dollar matters. Would you like to know where your money is going? Find out what kind of fees you're really paying. Statler Financial Services can help. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Philip Statler. He's president and CEO of Statler Financial Services right here in Sebring. Every week he gets questions about all things retirement, so we're going to take a little time here in this part of the show, open up our Statler Financial Mailbag, and go over some common retirement questions. So, Philip, our first question is from Jill, and Jill writes that she and her husband are getting a divorce after being married for almost 30 years. She's been working outside of the home for the last 5 years, so she's got some work friends and a little income of her own, but she feels like she's just starting over and she doesn't even know the questions to ask first. She wants to know some of the things she should think about now that she's planning for her own future.
Well, that's a tough question, Jill.
Yeah.
You need to know, number one, if you're working, if you have a 401k plan, then we need to be making sure that we're making some contributions to that 401k plan. Now, obviously, I'm not an attorney, but an area that you need to at least ask your attorney about is if your spouse has some retirement accounts, can you have access to some of that? Right? Can you roll some of that into your IRA? That's an area, because that may be, after 30 years of marriage, that may be one of the bigger financial assets that you have is going to be his retirement accounts. So we want to look at that and see if there may be something there that you can grasp and at least help you get started in the right direction and have some assets there to fall back on. But again, if you have a 401k, let's make sure that we're contributing at least enough to get the full match on that part. If there's not a 401k, try to develop some kind of savings plan where you're putting money into a Roth IRA, because you'd rather pay the taxes now in the low tax environment we're in versus later when we may be in a higher tax environment. Those are probably a couple things that I would look at right now.
Good questions there, Jill. And that really has become more of an issue that retirement planners like you are dealing with now. I know those divorce rates among people who are getting close to retirement and who are in retirement has really gone up. And there's some big financial ramifications. So just, Jill, you're certainly not the only one who's going through this. So those are some good questions there. Our next question is from Mark, and he and his wife have started having some serious discussions about what they want to do in retirement. Mark has had to travel for work for years, so he wants some peace and quiet, and he wants to go fishing. But his wife stayed home to raise their 2 boys. She's been telling all her friends about all the places that they're going to go once they retire, so they have some different ideas here. Mark says he's done traveling for good, but doesn't know how to tell her. So now what? So how do we make everybody happy here, Philip? This is a tough situation.
I didn't know that I was going into the marriage counseling business here, Jen.
It's kind of where you are sometimes, right? Oh gosh,
it is, and I can understand both sides, and so I think that there needs to be a discussion, right? We need to sit down and have that discussion about what we expect, and so maybe it's not all or nothing, right? So maybe we travel together once a year, and maybe the rest of the time, she goes ahead and kind of sets up some of the things she wants to do, and he can stay at home and golf or piddle in the yard or whatever he wants to do in retirement. And who knows, a couple of years of doing that, and he may get on that train of, okay, I'm ready to travel again and do some other stuff.
Right.
But, yeah, I think it's having that conversation of what can we do together, and then what do we need to not do together.
Just got to have those money conversations for do we have the money for her to do some of these trips, and then he's got the money for his hobbies, and then they can switch that up down the road if they need to, right?
Yep. It's all about compromise.
Compromise and keep those planning conversations going, because we might change our minds here one of these days. All right. Next question is from Paul. He wants to know the best kind of annuity to buy. Paul says he doesn't want a bunch of stuff. He just wants one simple place to keep his money.
Paul, I'd love to say here's a simple answer. Unfortunately, your question doesn't allow a simple answer. There's a lot of different annuities out there. There's not a best annuity. Okay, it's all based on your circumstances, your situation. I will say this, though. You don't want to put all your money into an annuity. That I do know. There's some planning that needs to be done there, Paul. And so it's sitting down with us or another financial advisor and really and truly looking at where you are and what you want your money to do for you going forward. Whether that means we need additional income, we can put together an income plan, or whether we don't really need any more income, we just need some fun money and stuff like that to budget for the fun stuff we want to do in retirement. Those are all things that we can address, but there's not one best annuity to go buy. It all depends on your circumstances. Don't let anybody tell you that there's this one great annuity that's the best annuity out there, because it all depends on you, your circumstances, and what you're trying to accomplish.
Let's do one more question here. This last one comes from Barb. Another tough relationship situation. Barb says, my mother just died, and now I feel like all our family does is argue over what to do with her house and who will be in charge of what. My siblings and I are in our 60s, but it feels like we're kids again. I don't know if you can help us with our arguments, but can you please just tell people why it's so important to take care of these decisions ahead of time? Gosh, that's a tough thing to be in, but she's right. We got to take care of this stuff ahead of time, right?
We do. And so there's a couple things here, right? So if mom died without a will, that's a problem, right? And so courts are really going to be in charge of how things are then divided up. If mom died with a will, the will is going to specify the things she's asking about. Who's in charge? Well, the will is going to say who's in charge. The will is going to say, here's how everything gets divided. So not having that in place can be problematic for the family. And so you don't want to put your family in that situation. You want to at least have a will in place. You want to at least have a power of attorney in place so that somebody can take care of you if you can't take care of yourself. If you have enough assets and you're in a position, maybe you need a trust. I don't know, without looking at your situation. Not everybody needs a trust. More people have a trust than really need one from what I've seen. But there are advantages to having a trust. There could be some advantages of not having a trust, depending on your circumstances. And so that's one of those things that is very dependent upon where you're at and what you're trying to accomplish. You're in a rough spot here because you got siblings all scrabbling over stuff, and that's not good. Mom died, and now we're fighting over everything. So it's better, folks. Listen, if you don't have a will in place, or you haven't attached beneficiaries to your assets, that's why they create TOD, transfer on death, or POD, pay on death, so that you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. It's taken care of. You've done it ahead of time. So those are some areas I think that you could look at. Obviously, it's too late for you, but a heads up to folks out there that, right, hey, take care of your stuff now so that your kids don't fight over it later. Right. That's right. Not what you want to have happen. And again, I'm not an attorney, but you need to have a relationship with an attorney that can help you set these things up properly, and to make sure that your final wishes are carried out the way you want them to be. Right. Because who wants their kids fighting over stuff? Nobody does.
Yeah.
But they're doing it. Happens. That's right. And they're doing it because you didn't take action to prevent it. And you could have.
So Philip, I think that the big message for a lot of people here is just get that planning done. So tell us how we can get in touch with somebody like you to get started on identifying what all the weak spots are and what's going on with our money, what's missing, and how do we get everything in place so we don't leave a mess for our kids.
Absolutely, Jen. They can give us a call. I mean, that's something we do all the time for folks is walk them through that process. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Or, Jen, they can go to my website, statlerfinancial.com. There's a link to my calendar right there.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. That's all the time we have for this week, but be sure to tune in again next time for more insights from Philip. We'll talk to you then.
Information provided during the Statler Financial Radio Show is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No strategy is guaranteed to be successful.
This radio show is a paid placement.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Philip Statler at Statler Financial Services agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for information about tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why Statler Financial Services was started. Philip wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement. Statler Financial is more than just convenient, they're knowledgeable and experienced. To set up a meeting with Philip Statler and his team to talk about your retirement plan, all of it, call 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Statler Financial Services, one stop for a wealth of retirement solutions. 863-285-3815. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.